That dude can scream for a long time. No, wait, that's nothing. Check this out.
Today we are ranking the albums of Biohazard, starting with Biohazard in 1990.
Why do you lie? Why do you cheat? Why do you try and deceive?
The debut LP from this New York band fusing hardcore metal and rap, though this one feels more so like a fairly standard hardcore punk album, getting pretty heavy and holding on to a lot of the 80s aesthetic. Banger bass intro and strong opener in Retribution, also some fun drumming across the board. We get a bit of a detour in the intro to Justified Violence with a little singing and acoustic guitar and the piano on Scarred for Life. More fun bass and some rapping on Hold My Own, projecting forward to the next album. Definitely not one of my favorites, but it has its place in music history. I'm going to put this one at okay. Next up is Urban Discipline in 1992. Definitely hear a lot of the developments of 90s alternative going into this one. It's still hardcore, but I also hear things like Helmet, Soundgarden, and others as well coming through in the instrumentation and atmosphere. Lots of groove and general kind of dark aesthetic. I can also hear how tracks like Disease may have been an early influence on the nu metal sound with the fusion of that with the rapping vocals. Honestly, though, it may be the drums that stand out to me the most here. Very punchy performance from Danny Schuler. The acoustic ballad intro to Lost feels kind of out of place to me, and I'm not a big fan of Tears of Blood, but I don't know if I'll get pushback on that. Otherwise, a very fun listen and definitely a fan favorite. It is going to fantastic. But then we get State of the World Address in 1994. Now, I found it sad, but also in a weird way humorously reassuring that the list of societal ills rifled off in the opening title track is basically the same now over 30 years later. Feeling a bit more of the hardcore punk sound alongside those same kind of alternative influences on this one. Marketing also included appearances on Headbangers Ball and, again, Beavis and Butthead. Tales from the Hard Side is a very fun and well-constructed single, some wicked soloing too, and then you've got a Cypress Hill crossover on How It Is.
That's what you get for living like this with a bullet in your hand. You're dead. You can't miss.
I also hate saying this, but it's becoming clear to me that Kid Rock probably listened to a lot of Biohazard.
Well, can't unhear that.
And also kind of interesting to see how the hardcore scene has changed from the old school to the new with the tribute to veterans remember. I feel like a band makes a song like this today and the degenerates on our hardcore will blow a gasket. Also dig 5 Blocks to the Subway, Each Day, Human Animal, and Cornered. Some surprising use of piano and Spanish guitar too. Not sure how much the album needs a dramatic moment like Failed Territory, but it is quite good. A step up from the last one, I would say. This is going to perfection. Then we have Mata Leo in 1996.
You walk around always feeling about how you're trying to get your way.
This was unfortunately a commercial failure that charted over 100 places lower than its predecessor, leading them to be dropped by Warner Bros. And I can kind of see why, even though this album seems to have its defenders. It has an okay opener and Authority, but already feeling like a step down. The vocals generally feel a little bit lazier and hinge more on the hip-hop delivery. DJ Lethal of House of Pain and Limp Bizkit is also listed as personnel here. Gravity is also solid, but These Eyes Have Seen is the major standout for me. There are also a few solid if straightforward punk tracks, but very little in the way of metal here. Pretty weak, forgettable, and at times even kind of corny. Again, I see some people disagree with that, and that's why you can share down in the comments your own ranking. This is just my opinion, but I am putting this one at okay. Also, hit the like button if you're enjoying the video so far, but moving on, we have New World Disorder in 1999.
Out of sight, out of mind. When you look at yourself, then you find.
Now, speaking of Helmet, this album features Echeverria on guitar, and I can definitely hear those Helmet riffs coming through on tracks like Switchback, and especially personal favorite Skin. Lots of great grooves on Salvation and All for None, and haunting atmosphere on End of My Rope and Abandoned in Place. More killer drumming, too. Honestly, this one surprised me at how consistently I enjoyed it after that last one. It definitely feels like a course correction.
Welcome to the rat race. People killing themselves to get ahead of the pack. Backstabbing attack.
Closing track New World Disorder also has guest appearances from Igor Cavalera, Christian Old Wolbers of Powerflow, and Sticky Fingers of the rap group Onyx. Once more, just digging that classic 90s aesthetic. Seriously, this is the sound, like, regardless of the band or genre, that my brain is just like, it's its happy place. It belongs here. Take me back. Yeah, good times. Speaking of unpopular opinions again, I saw a lot of people rank this one lower. I have this one up at perfection. It was one of my favorites going through them right now. But moving on, we have Uncivilization in 2001.
So many times I've been lied to, the ways of the world, with my mind through for the truth.
Leo Curley on guitar here, and quite a few guest features, including Phil Anselmo, Corey Taylor, Jamie Josta, Andreas Kisser, Derek Green, Igor Cavalera, and Peter Steele. Another strong opener in Sellout, definitely getting my head banging, and some really great dramatic atmosphere opening up the title track. Dig the kind of horrorcore sounding beat on Wide Awake, and Last Man Standing is another fun rap-focused track. Get Away is a banger. I'm sure some don't like this one for having more nu metal tropes. They are definitely all over it. I probably should have included this in my nu metal 2001 albums ranking. And it makes sense considering that the genre peaked this year. But I'm still a nu metal kid at heart, so I'm pretty down with most of what this album is putting out. I don't think it's one of their best, but I'm putting it at great tier. Follow that up with Kill or Be Killed in 2003. Carmine Vincent on guitar, and unfortunately a lot of that fun and variety is kind of gone on this one. It's got plenty of the darkness I like and leans on the heavier side, but the songs just sort of run together for me. I do like the seriously gnarly groove on Open Your Eyes. Penalty is another deadbeat rager. Overall, not a bad listen, and I do appreciate the shorter runtime. The title track is also pretty catchy. Not a ton to say about this one, but it's enjoyable enough, so I'm putting it at good tier. Then we got Means to an End in 2005.
I live life like a warrior, taking control of everything and everyone who's getting out of me.
Scott Roberts of Cro-Mags on guitar with this one. Always fun when you have a band that has like one rotating member. Now they had to re-record this entire album after losing everything in 2004 and starting from scratch. I've had to do that before for a video and I was so mad. I can't imagine having to do that for an entire album. More or less a similar vibe as the last one. Dark, pissed off, but with some solid riffing. Really dig the one on the attitude-packed My Life, My Way. Don't Stand Alone is another good one with great gang vocals, more Helmet vibes on To the Grave. The bass on Killing to Be Free feels very War Pigs to me, and in fact a lot of this album feels strangely doomy even if the rhythms remain pretty energetic. Another shorter one that's a solid if somewhat forgettable listen. I'm putting it alongside the last one at good tier. Then they came back with Reborn in Defiance in 2012.
You think you know me?
Bobby Hamble returning on guitar, coming 7 years in the wake of the last record. Solid kickoff with Vengeance Is Mine and the raging D-beats and wailing guitar. Nice hypnotic groove to Decay. Mix here of more punk and hardcore energy again with quite a bit of actual singing.
Life is hard, believe me, I know it's true. Always fighting back the pain I'm breaking through.
The production isn't great, and overall I'd say the songs are a bit of a mixed bag. Nearly an hour is definitely also asking a lot for this material. Some cool additions in the piano, slide guitar, and even some strings, but very few of this really ends up kind of sticking with me, so this is another one that I'm just putting at okay tier. Little shout out before we get to the latest album here. You got to check out my friend band's Gone Awry. I've talked about them a few times and included them in some videos. He's even been interviewed on the channel before, but if you like kind of like metal infused hardcore music that's got a little bit of like a Hatebreed energy at times, then definitely check them out.
Whatever help you try, we can see all that we say.
But that brings us to Divided We Fall in 2025.
We kill each other for nothing at all, and blame each other for taking the fall.
Back after over 20 years since the last one with the original lineup, no less. And they still have that classic hardcore in their veins, leading off with the ferocious Fuck the System. And there's plenty here where that came from with crossover thrashy tracks like Forsaken and Word to the Wise. These riffs go super hard, and honestly, this is another case where it feels like it could have come out back in their heyday. But then balanced out by more mid-paced groove-focused material like Death of Me and Eyes on Six. And also, something I haven't mentioned yet, but like about their discography, is that they managed to have socially conscious lyrics without coming off as, like, too preachy. Much like Hatebreed, the messages feel very motivational. It's more of about rising up than bitching and moaning. And as a result, it casts a wider net, which I consider to be a good thing, especially right now. To quote the song SITFOA, we're all trying to survive this life, we're all trying to make it all right. A consistently strong listen that keeps the energy up the entire way through. I'm putting this one at fantastic. Y'all check out this playlist for some new metal discography rankings, or this for your personal YouTube recommendation. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.